Hello and welcome to the Smart Beauty Podcast. I'm your host, Viola Levy, beauty journalist and founder of copy-led branding agency, Smart Beauty Creative. Today I have an absolute dream guest, Colette Laxton, co-founder of the Inkey List, which she set up with her husband, Mark Curry, in 2018. I really love their story. So first they were business partners before they got together as a couple, and then they got married. I was reading about their love story in the New York Times, but I didn't ask her anything about that during our chat. Maybe I should have done, but I think that's a whole other podcast episode. Now, if you're into beauty at all, you'll know Inkey are one of the biggest success stories in skincare over the past decade, offering scientific formulas at pocket money prices. Like I say, they launched in 2018 and within 6 months had secured a global partnership with Sephora. They've since hit over 100 million in revenue and completely changed how we talk about skincare ingredients, hence the name. But what I really love is just how down to earth and normal Colette is about what it actually took to get there. She doesn't give us the glossy Instagram version. She talks about the brands that she and Mark set up before Inkey, sexism in boardrooms, and why she now only speaks when she has something to say. She doesn't need to prove herself by chiming in every 5 minutes, and that's something I can definitely relate to. We cover the overnight success that was 7 years in the making, also why affordable skincare still has to fight for credibility, and what it really takes mentally and physically to build a legacy brand. I'm honestly so thrilled that she agreed to come on the podcast. So let's not waste any more time. Here's Colette. So Colette, it's a real pleasure to welcome you on the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Not at all. Now, the Inkey List launched in 2018, and obviously you guys went through COVID. Yeah, I mean, what do you think has given you that longevity? Because as we both know, like skincare brands, they don't always have a long shelf life. So what do you think gave you that staying power?
I think we always talk about our why versus our what. So I think our mission and our why of existing is as relevant today as it was back in 2018. So ultimately, the skincare world is incredibly confusing. So we are huge fans of science and innovation, but actually from a consumer perspective, there's so many brands, so many products, so many ingredients.
Overwhelming.
So overwhelming. And in 2018, people were so confused and needed support. And in 2025, it's actually even worse because there's so much misinformation, so much content. One minute you're on TikTok seeing a derm saying one thing that you would trust, and then you go onto Instagram and it's a different derm saying the complete opposite.
That's what I mean. Even the experts are arguing. So it's kind of like, well, who do we turn to if the cosmetic chemists and the derms aren't agreeing with each other and having spats? It's like, where do we,
Literally,
how do we
exactly
know who to trust?
So I think for us, our why is to spread the beauty of knowledge to the world. Now, how we would do that in 2018, how we do that in 25, and how we do that in another 10, 20 years, the how in which we will do it will be different. But ultimately, the skincare market is full of consumers that are confused and just need a bit of support to find their right solution. So for me, by having that clear why and that enduring need to exist means that no matter what we look like, sound like, what marketing campaign we've got going on, people still have that need, and we're filling a gap, basically.
No, it makes sense. It feels like a lot of the time brands these days, it's kind of more like bandwagon jumping. So what you guys did was obviously so innovative. And maybe this is unfair of me, but it feels like brands now are like, oh, okay, that's the trend. That's what the kids want. So let's just make another brand like that. Yes. I mean, do you think that's a fair assessment? And
I
see that changing?
There's like a quick win almost. This is the trend. Let's do it. Let's jump on it. And I think it's hard to build a brand that will last and that will be here for the long term if you're basing yourself on a current trend. And I think what's been interesting when you look at the alpha trend that's been going over the last year. You can even see that, the colourful packaging, the exciting, beautiful smelling products, even expensive products. The alphas came in and were like, oh, we want this product, we want this brand. And you know what? They leave because they come. And we're now in that aftermath of, alphas were selling out retailers and now they've moved on to Roblox or moved on to another passion of theirs. So I
Yeah.
think if you rely on the here and now and the trend that's here on the here and now, I don't think that's wise as a brand to base your entire brand on.
I mean, you guys really threw out the rule book when you launched Inkey List. I mean, what gave you the chutzpah, as we say in the Jewish community? Like, what made you think, all right, let's just go for it and see, see what happens?
I
Um,
think there was a timing thing. I think it was we could see this moment in time where brands were being completely opaque. There was no transparency in the beauty industry.
mm,
And at the same time, you had consumers starting to get into platforms like Reddit. And I could see thousands and thousands of threads on Reddit of people turning to each other. Hey, this is my skin. Can anyone help me out? I don't really understand what's going on. I just bought this new product online. I have no idea what this ingredient does or what's in it. Does anybody know the percentage of this product? So they were turning to each other to ask for help because brands weren't giving them the information that they needed.
no.
So it just felt like there was this sort of moment in time where it was like, we've spotted this major, major gap here in consumer understanding. Should we just hit that point now where there's this kind of convergence of them asking for more and brands not giving it to them? So we had this sort of a ha eureka moment in March of 2018 and said, let's do this. And honestly, we had the brand to market in just under 18 weeks.
And I find your business model fascinating because obviously, when you started making results driven yet accessible, affordable skincare was really unheard of. And you hear things about people saying, oh, well, you've got to think about your margins and going into retailers and everything else. And
Yeah.
obviously, convincing, sort of premium retailers to stock a mid-price point brand. I mean, how did you navigate that? Um,
I think our backgrounds helped. So
mm,
Mark and I, as co-founders, have got. We always say we're the most expensive like CEO together, because actually the two of our skill sets kind of really span the array of things that you need to think about as a founder and as being in the beauty industry. So Mark is a biologist, virologist, so that's his background. So he totally understands formulas and how to get a formula to be more affordable because why are you paying for that bit? And actually, this is the bit that's going to make the difference. And he can really get in
mm,
depth there, but he's also incredibly creative. Mark is a true entrepreneur. And if everybody goes left, he goes right. And he thinks incredibly creatively. Then you've got me, who is completely consumer obsessed. And I come from a space where I had struggles with my skin. So I really understand the psychology behind skincare and
mm,
how important that can be. And I always play the role of our consumer, and I always kind of swear at the team to say, when they give me a new slogan, and I'm like, that's absolute. What do you mean, and what are you saying, and why are you trying to make slogans and make
mm,
it cool? Let's just tell customers what it is and what it does, and be really truthful with them. And then Mark and I worked at Boots, so we both met there. I worked there for 10 years, so I understood the supply chain process. I understand how products are made and how to market them and how to do VM. And we were in a retailer. So when you sell to a retailer, you know what they're looking for. So I think between the two of us, we had the right skill sets that was really understanding the industry, have worked in the industry, for over 20 years between us. But then at the same time, we've got that real entrepreneurial spirit and can really spot the difference that we could make as a brand. So I'd say all of
mm,
those things are kind of accumulated together. And a bit of timing, as I said before, timing was everything. So we hit the market at a good time. Retailers were open to it because it was, okay, well, this is really different, but we get it. It's a bit like, I'm not saying we're Uber, but like when you actually look back and go, Uber made so much sense, right?
mm,
Because
completely.
everyone's trying to hail a cab and then how do you make it easy for consumers? It was that sort of same mentality of like, why is no one else breaking it down and making skincare simple for people? So actually to retailers, they were like, we get it. And we were able to work into the parameters commercially of their models because we know what their models are. So it kind of, I don't want to say it was easy because it was not, but the kind of stars aligned. And I think our skill sets meant that it wasn't that difficult. We
Mm.
with 6 months we were had a global partnership with Sephora, which,
That's incredible.
yeah, I know. When I look back now, I'm like, that was bonkers. But yeah, I think we just knew that we were onto something, and I think the retailers did too.
Yeah, and you both came up, as you say, through Boots, and that's produced some amazing people in the industry, like Anna Teal, who I interviewed previously on the
Yeah,
podcast, and Nicola
yeah,
Kilner, obviously.
yeah.
What do you think it is about that environment that seems to produce such kind of top talent?
Do you know what's so funny? So I was out for dinner last night with two of my very good friends who are also in the beauty industry,
Mm,
um, and they're both from Boots. And what's quite funny is of really all the people that have gone on to do incredible things, we're all quite a network. So yeah, I was at Anna's house.
yeah,
I think I was reflecting on this with them actually last night, and we were saying I think the corporate training you can never underestimate. And I see a
mm,
lot of people coming into the industry and coming into, brands like ours, and without that real classical formal training, I actually think you really do need that. And to the point previously on, how do you get to be that sort of overnight success? Well, it's really understanding the industry.
yeah,
As a founder, you can have this brilliant idea, but I think Boots really gave us a really structured training and a really hard way into the industry. I was in the Christmas gifting team and I would have to get into the office at 6:30 a.m. in the middle of December to make sure my manager had her sales reports by 7:30 because she would then
oh,
go
wow.
and present to the big bods at Boots. And I never
Mm,
questioned it. I knew it was part of my job to get the sales reporting done for my manager, get it into the right format, get everything printed out, and the printer's going to break. So yeah,
always the way.
in the Christmas gifting season, I was in the office at 6:30. I was packing boxes. I was doing whatever
Mm,
I needed to do. And I think Boots has given me a great training, but it's also given me that kind of hustle and I know how to work hard. And I would say, all the alumni of Boots that have gone on to do things, you've met Anna as the ultimate hustler,
incredible.
and super smart. And I think we're lucky that we've had a really good career intro, basically.
And I love that it's not in London as well, because I think there's so much talent all over the UK, and
Yeah,
I'm really,
yeah,
really proud that sort of Boots kind of represents that kind of non-London centric side
absolutely.
of the industry.
And we're trying to do the same thing at the Inkey List. So I've got three offices. I've got one in New York, I've got one in London, and I've got one in Nottingham. Um,
Oh,
so
fantastic.
so yeah, I love that nurturing Nottingham talent. And we've got over I think it's 50 people in our Nottingham office. And I love being that hub of creativity and
Mm.
industry in Nottingham.
Are you from Nottingham originally?
Leicester, but yeah, very close.
Okay, so yeah, close by. And was
Yeah.
there a moment where you guys were like, okay, this is going to be something big, or did it just happen organically at the beginning?
So we actually had a couple of other brands before Inkey. So
Mm,
Mark and I started out in a world of we love innovation, we love delivering things for the consumer. And the two brands that we launched, I think we learned a lot. We learned just because you like something doesn't mean other people will.
mm,
An idea doesn't mean amazing execution. But also, I think, and I'm sure people listening to this will probably understand that, whether you're talking about a brand, a product, an idea, or service, there's this feeling of pushing water uphill. And on one of our brands that was going really well, and we had major retailers, and we were just about to launch in the US, it was hard. And it felt like we were forcing it. We were forcing the success. And we were
yeah.
doing so good at selling to the retailers that they were believing in us. And then you were getting it on shelf and you were looking at the sell through going, it's not quite there. It's not quite
Mm,
there. Whereas Inky, literally from day one, you
yeah.
know, we launched it in retail, on a .com in the UK, and I had a phone call from Leanne at Cult Beauty the day we launched, and she said, "Colette, I need this brand." And I was like, "Okay." We had 19 pieces of press coverage day one, and within 8 weeks, we were in Paris in Sephora presenting the brand to them, and in the room was Artemis Patrick, who then said, "We want the brand in the US." So honestly, from day one, we knew something was happening here with Inky.
I love affordable beauty, and I think as a beauty journalist, you get sent stuff, and you feel like, is this really worth the money? Is this really? And I feel like my job is to find things that are kind of affordable because I feel like
Yes,
it could
yes,
be
yes, yes.
accessible. Were you ever worried that people might think that it didn't do what it says because of the price point?
Even today. I
Mm.
spend so, and especially because we look basic as well. Like honestly, like we put all of our money into the formulas. So I think to my dying day, I will be trying to prove to people that this product works. And you can do all the clinical trials, the studies, use the best formulas, ingredients, actives as you like. People generally are programmed to think that if something is more affordable, it's not as effective.
Yeah.
So it's my job to continually dispel that myth. And I think, not just the Inkey List, I think there's a lot of really, really great products out there now that actually consumers are starting to realize, you know what, just because it has £100, on
Mm.
the price tag, that doesn't mean it's good. And it but works both ways. Just because it's affordable doesn't mean it's bad. But just because it's expensive also doesn't mean that it's good.
No, exactly.
I think people are learning, but honestly, it will be my forever sales pitch. Convince people to try it. That's literally all I
Mm.
want them to do. Just give it a go. And then most of the time they stick because they say, do you know what? I don't need to buy something expensive because this is working for my skin.
You've got a background in marketing, you know how it works, where they say don't give them too much value, just give them just enough that they're curious and leave them wanting. Whereas with you guys, it's completely the opposite. You just are so generous with your knowledge, and you're like, if you have any query or question, just speak to our experts. You don't have to even be a customer. I mean, how do you manage that in terms of just resources? How do you make
It's
that work?
a long game. It's a long game. We
Mm,
made the decision incredibly early on that that was going to be our strategy. So, of our first 10 employees, one of them was a skincare expert. And we started that asking key service in January 2020. So even
mm,
pre-COVID, I mean, we were very lucky that we kind of established that at the moment that everyone locked down and went, help. I think back to what we stand for at the Inkey List is trying to give people, the beauty of knowledge and make it accessible. And I think if that's going to be your mission, you've got to live it every single day. And does it make absolute financial sense that we have a team of experts available to you for free anytime that's adding, in theory, no value to our business or no sales? We don't
mm.
KPI them on sales, by the way. That's not like they're not there to drive sales. They're there to genuinely
Yeah.
build trust and advocacy on our brand. But we did it for the long game, and we just hope that it's one way of proving to the consumers that we are here for them. And
Mm,
you would hope if they have a positive interaction with us, with our Ask Inky team, or through anything that we do, that that day when they're stood in Boots deciding which brand to buy, we would hope that they would say, I trust that brand. I had a really good experience with them. I'll give
mm.
them a go. So that's the long game. But ironically, I love a KPI and I love measuring what we're doing. And that's probably the least measurable thing we do in our business. But I feel incredibly passionate to
Mm.
your point, to be super generous with support and advice and education. Because if we don't do that, then who are we? We're just an ingredient brand.
And what are you doing it for as well?
Maybe we're silly, but it's
Well, I
done us
think
over
there is
7
the
years.
proof is in the pudding. When you talk about sort of making yourself more visible and stepping out of your comfort zone and being like the face of the brand, it can bring up a lot of personal stuff and you can sort of feel like you're kind of working on yourself as much as the business. Would you say that rings true?
Yeah, definitely. Do you know what? I was actually just reflecting earlier on how far I've actually come in the 7 years, and
Mm,
that I would have been petrified to do, put myself out there, or even prepping for board meetings or retailer meetings. Everything was a massive deal, and I was questioning myself and second guessing everything I was doing, and I probably don't know that much more now. I think through like the battle scars, I've just learned to, I don't know, just trust my gut. I would say
mm,
trusting my gut has become much more like if someone asks me for feedback or wants an opinion on something, I'm quite quick now. I think I just know in my gut what I feel and what I
yeah.
think. Prove me wrong, cool. Like if you've got data to say otherwise, or, I'm not like this is it and you have to do it. But I think I've grown confident in my skin now that I am who I am and I'm learning and I'm just going for it rather than panicking about everything, which I used to.
Yeah, I think you have to sort of trust that internal kind of compass, don't you? Because if you don't have that, then what is the point? You could be wrong, but you have to just
You do have to go with
have that
the
faith in yourself.
conviction. Yeah, I think if you've got courage in your conviction, that's actually half the battle.
So when you're say you're in you're in America in this room with these really confident Americans, like how do you navigate that?
I, one, play into the English.
I find I do that as well when I'm over there. I start sounding like Julie Andrews. It's like The Exorcist. It's like
Really,
who is
honestly,
it's
really, I
crazy.
don't know. It just happens.
Yeah.
Like, and
It's
they love it. They
yeah.
love it. They love the British accent. They love how we approach things. I just
Mm.
truly lean into it, and I think the more genuine I am and kind of will really play into, oh, it's too much and blah blah blah. I actually think it works really well.
Yeah.
I don't try and be brash because I can't, and I think I'd come across a bit awkward trying to
Mm.
be loud and proud. Whereas I just it's so weird that you said that you do that because I just go really posh and
I think it's yeah, I never feel self-consciously British until I'm over there.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then it's like
Lean in, lean in. It's a differentiator.
obviously it's you and Mark running the brand. Have you ever encountered any industry sexism or where people assume that Mark is the owner or people just sort of defer to him and act like you're not there? I mean, I hope that hasn't happened.
Yes, it has. It has.
Mm.
I would say, luckily, we're in a very female industry, which I love. So therefore, even
Yeah, but
like
the further up the ladder you go, then it's kind of
yes, yes. I'm quite lucky though that in my career, like even at Boots, I'm the best of friends with one of the very, very senior leaders at Boots. And actually
Mm.
Anna was a senior leader when I was growing up in Boots, and she's not actually that much older than me. I'm making her sound old. But there's, Anna and another lady who's one of my dearest friends, they were like the helm of Boots.
Mm.
And there was a female CEO, a CMO at the time. And in a lot of, the Sephora, you've got the Artemis Patrick. So there is actually some incredible women to look up to in the industry. I would say where I felt it most is the kind of boardroom finance scenarios, I would
Yeah.
say. And honestly, not only am I female, but I fit the bill of the female marketing creative. So like it couldn't be worse really because it's
Mm.
not like I'm a female but I'm like an accountant by background, so I really can get in the boardroom and get into the good conversations. I can't. So I
Mm.
have felt that on two counts of being like a creative and also being female is like, does your opinion really count? And I struggled with that at the start, and I felt like, I started the brand when I was what, 31. So I wasn't young. But at the same time, I felt like a young girl when I was like sat in those big meetings with the boardroom, and I felt like they didn't really want to listen to what I was saying
No.
at times. Um, I
Um,
would say in the early days, I would be quiet. I
mm.
really would, and I would default to Mark, and I would let him do the talking where I felt uncomfortable. Um, Whereas now, I will talk if I've got something to say. I actually don't feel like I need to prove a point. And that's actually for
No.
me the best place to be. I don't need to shout over them. I don't need to convince them that I'm worth it because guess what? I run a very successful global skincare.
Exactly.
So if you don't see the value in me and you see the values mark, cool. That's on you. But you know what?
Mm.
I'm going to go carry on and doing what I'm doing. So I don't actually feel the need to fight back or say anything or like if that's your view, then more for you.
Someone described like running a business as staying calm while your house is burning down, and I think for me that kind of resonated. I don't know if that resonates for you, but I'm sure there have been moments where things have been tough, and you must have thought, I just don't know if I can carry on sort of doing this. I mean, what gave you that sort of resolve to stay in the game,
I think that's the best analogy I've ever heard. And I feel
right?
like that. Like if I've got a background on, but there is a fire behind me right now. Um, every every single day, there is never a
Mm,
moment where there is not 10 things going on, whether it's people problems, cash problems, stock problems, quality problems. I could honestly go on all day. So the house is always burning down. Uh, I would say learning what is a real problem versus
mm,
an hour problem. So there are 10 problems a day. One of those is probably a big deal, and actually focus on the big deal because the rest of the stuff, just be really clear about what you want to do about it or not. And
mm.
let's and deal with it. The big problems, yeah, you need to think about those. I have actually burnt out once, because when was it? I think was it 3 years ago? I think we were I think we were 4 years in, and I burnt out because I don't think it didn't have a strategy going into the brand. We didn't know it was going to be such a big success. And so I would say the first 2 years, it was like, oh, this is amazing. And then it was
Mm,
COVID. And then we were, oh my God, let's deal with COVID. And then we were just growing. And because we were growing so fast, we were then trying to catch up as we grew. And then all of a sudden, I kind of turned around one day and was like, we've got this incredibly huge brand. And I don't know how much longer I can keep this pace and adrenaline. And Mark needs 4 hours sleep. And the guy has such a high mental capacity. I was trying to keep up with him.
yeah.
Horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. So I did burn out because I think I didn't have a coping mechanism, and I just went and went and went and went and went and went and didn't have a plan, and then my body just went absolutely not, Colette. Um I would say Mark has a phrase where he says you have to be a psycho to be a founder, because you just despite
Mm.
anything, you
Who in
just
their right mind would want to do it? I mean, it's
I honestly look back and think that was a real choice, Colette. Real life,
Mm.
like life choice, not just a bit like a career choice. So yeah, I would say I don't know. I really, really don't know. Just you just have to keep going. We're at a point now where I have to keep going. You know, I've got
Mm.
100 people that rely on me. I've got 3 offices. I've got a balance sheet. You know, I just keep going because I have to, and I try and enjoy it every single day. But I would say, like last week, I had a real low last week, and it was annoyingly on my birthday. But I had like a
Oh,
few.
sorry. That's
I
rubbish.
just again,
Birthdays can be a huge letdown though, because there's so much hype and then there's so much pressure to be enjoying yourself on it. It's like being on holiday sometimes. There's so much pressure
yeah,
to enjoy
yeah,
yourself.
yeah. Am I enjoying it? No, I just I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know if it's the end of summer. I don't know. I just felt flat and low, and you know when you just can't get yourself out of the funk. And I felt, and I do
Yeah.
get those. You know, I'm at like everyone. You know, you have good times, bad times, hard times, but I think fundamentally, you just have to keep going.
It's cyclical, isn't it? You just think, okay, I just need to just ride this out and
Yeah,
then
and I feel much better this week. And you know, I cracked on last week and just gave myself a couple of early nights and ate well and tried to work out because I thought that would give me some dopamine and it didn't. But I just it's the long game, I think. You've got to think about it. You know, if you're going
mm,
to do something like this, you've just got to know it's going to be long, it's going to be arduous. It's such an incredible feeling though, like to have
yeah.
built thing. But yeah, by no means is it easy to keep going.
I mean, you've pretty much conquered the world with Inky. I mean, surely things will get, should be getting easier in the in the near future. I mean, do you have any more kind of great sort of plans or goals, or it feels like you've pretty much, conquered everything. You've
Oh,
pretty much done it all. But what's
no,
sort of
no.
in the
We
future?
so we hit the 100 million uh target, which was a which was major. Um, but I want to be a brand that outlives Mark and I. That for me
Mm,
will be success. You know, how do we get to that point where we are a legacy brand? You know, the Inkey List is about taking ingredients and simplifying a category, right? We've done that in skincare. Well, where we could
mm,
do that in supplements, we could do that in, you know, name your category. I would love to see Inkey as this sort of legacy brand that
mm,
crosses categories globally, and it becomes this sort of mainstay household name
mm.
that can survive without me and Mark. I think it's going to be a while, but
You can take a well-deserved break. You can put your
yeah,
feet.
I can sleep. Yeah, I honestly don't feel like we've even scratched the surface,
Mm.
which I can't work out is a good or a bad thing.
Yeah, it's good. It's always good to have something to strive towards because otherwise, where's the joy?
Yeah.
Where's the fun in life? Because you've
Yeah.
already done it. And finally, I mean, you've answered it a bit in the previous question, but what would you like your kind of legacy to be? Like personally as well as through the brand?
Personally, I would say I would like to be a support to other people that want to take this road. So I do a bit of mentoring now, which I absolutely love. And I'd probably love to do a bit more with that and in a really transparent way. Because I
Mm.
think there's like a fancy mentor and then there's a real this is what it will take and that real support system to people. So I'd actually love and within our company, like my favorite thing to do is grow people. And then, so many of our team have gone on to have their own brands and businesses and services. And one of my favorite moments actually is when we contract them back in. So we've got an influencer agency that we contract in who is my ex-employee and she set up her own
Oh,
influence.
fantastic.
That for me is
Having
like
that full circle moment must be so like gratifying.
amazing. So there's a few people that I've seen go on and fly, and honestly, it makes me so happy. But yeah, as a person, I would love to like give back. I don't know if I even have the capacity to write a book or just something that will help. If I
Mm.
can leave this industry having, you know, created a difference for consumers, but then also help that kind of next generation come through and try not to tell them not to do
Do
it.
you think it takes a certain personality type to be a founder, or do you think that anyone can do it?
No, I don't even know if it's a personality type. I think you do have to be a bit bonkers,
Mm.
for sure. But I don't know. I think there has to be a level of hustle in you. So I always did stuff when I was young. I had an antique store. When I worked at Boots, I would do an antique stall at the business on the weekends. At
Mm.
uni, I was a singer and I would do pubs and clubs to make money. Like I've always had that in me, that sort of
Yeah, that drive.
boy. I don't know, wheeler dealer, yeah, that striving for something. So I don't
Mm.
think you teach that. So I think you're either that way or not. And I don't think it's even often about the idea that you've got. I think it's have you got enough grit to see it through?
Mm. It's about having that fire in your belly, isn't it? Nobody can ignite that for you.
Exactly, exactly. But it's so magical when you see somebody. There's a couple of people on the team, and I can just see this sort of that fire in them, and I'm like, you're going to go on to do something pretty mega. And it's just
Mm.
seeing, growing in a company, and like almost we're inspiring them because you can see, I can do this, I could do this, I could do this.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
it's definitely,
I
the
think mindset like trumps tactics every time. I think if you don't have the mindset, then you can have the best business tactics in the world, right? But it's not going to all come together unless you have that initial kind of impetus.
100% and keep it going. If I'm
Mm.
not passionate every single day, there's 100 people that are looking at me like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I can imagine being somebody like, can you see yourself being like a Gwyneth Paltrow kind of figure and having kind of this like health and wellness and sort of empire and this kind of extension of your own, like you're having your own personal brand, not just the Inky List.
I don't think anyone would care enough. I mean, if they would be, then sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, I don't think I'm interesting enough. Like Colette from Leicester versus Gwyneth Paltrow.
What's wrong with Colette from Leicester? Why not? I mean, you've bloody achieved, for God's sake, woman, you've done enough. Like,
Right,
now
you
is not the
you
time to
you
be
create that
putting yourself
strategy
down.
for me, Viola. You can start on my next venture.
Yeah, I'll nag you about that and see.
I love it. The next Gwyneth. Right, that's
Yeah,
going on the vision board.
that's the pushy mother in me, like coming out. What? You haven't achieved this yet? Like,
Oh, Colette.
yeah. But no, thank you so much, Colette, I know you're a very busy lady and it's been an absolute delight to host you on the podcast. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed that episode. All links will be in the show notes, and feel free to visit smartbeautycreative.com or visit us over on Instagram to find out more about what we do. And if you enjoyed listening, please don't forget to rate and review Smart Beauty on iTunes, as it helps people find us. See you next time.